Picture this. You are driving down the highway and you pull up behind a brand new truck that costs more than most people's entire homes. You know exactly the one, massive, gleaming, chrome on everything. Leather seats that probably cost more than your monthly rent. And a car payment that would make your bank manager lose sleep at night. Now here's the part that should really bother you. The person behind that wheel probably earns less money than you do. So what is actually going on? How are everyday people somehow managing these sky-high car payments that seem to completely defy basic math? My name is Uncle Investor, and I have spent years studying why people make the financial decisions they do, especially the ones that quietly destroy their wealth for an entire decade without them even realizing it. If you have ever looked at your neighbor's $70,000 pickup truck and wondered how on earth they are pulling that off while complaining about the price of groceries, hit that subscribe button right now and give this video a like. It costs you nothing, and it might just save you thousands of dollars. Now, before we get into exactly how people are pulling this off, let us take a clear and honest look at what we are really dealing with here. The average new car payment in America has reached territory that would have seemed completely insane just 10 years ago. We are talking about monthly payments that now rival what many people pay for rent. And yet millions of Americans are signing loan documents every single month and driving off dealership lots in vehicles that cost more than the median household income. Here's what makes this truly eye-opening. Most of these people are not secret millionaires hiding their wealth somewhere. They are not crypto investors or trust fund kids. They are teachers, nurses, mechanics, retail workers, and regular office employees. Everyday people with everyday jobs who found a way to make the numbers look like they work. And the key word there is look. Because the truth is there is an entire system built specifically to make impossible payments feel possible. Understanding how that system works is not just about curiosity. It is about protecting yourself from a financial decision that could quietly follow you around for the next 7 to 10 years of your life. So let us start with the most basic question. How much money are we actually talking about? Because when most people hear these numbers for the first time, they genuinely think I am making them up. The average new car payment has now climbed to over $700 per month. $700. That is not for a luxury vehicle or some exotic sports car. That is the average payment for a plain, regular new car purchased by a plain, regular person. But it gets significantly worse when you start looking at trucks and SUVs, which have become the automatic first choice for most American buyers. Those payments routinely push past $900 per month. And payments over $1,200 are not rare at all. $1,200 every single month for 6, 7, or even 8 years straight. We are talking about total payments that blow past $80,000 over the life of the loan. And that is before insurance, maintenance, and fuel costs enter the picture. Now, you might be thinking, well, maybe people are just earning a lot more these days. Maybe wages have grown enough to actually support these kinds of payments. And if that is where your mind went, I am sorry to be the one to tell you it is just not true. The median household income has increased, yes, but nowhere near enough to justify these payment amounts under any traditional financial logic. So how are people doing it? The answer is a combination of factors that have fundamentally changed the way Americans approach buying cars. And not a single one of these factors is good news for the people signing those loan documents. Let us start with the first and most common trap, which is the extended loan term. Remember when a car loan was 3 years, maybe 4 if you really pushed it? Those days are completely gone. Today, car loans routinely stretch to 6, 7, or 8 years into the future. Some lenders are now offering 10-year car loans, which honestly sounds like something from a financial horror story. The appeal is obvious. If you spread a $60,000 truck payment over 8 years instead of 4, the monthly number drops significantly. That truck that would have required a $1,500 monthly payment over 4 years suddenly starts to feel manageable at $900 over 8 years. The monthly number looks reasonable, and the monthly number is exactly what the buyer locks onto. But here is what most people never think about when they are sitting in that dealership chair. By stretching the loan term, they are not just lowering the monthly payment, they are dramatically increasing the total amount they will pay for that vehicle. A $900 payment over 8 years adds up to over $86,000 compared to roughly $72,000 on a 4-year loan. That is an extra $14,000 spent simply for the comfort of a lower monthly number. And it gets worse from there. They will still be making payments on that truck long after it is worth a fraction of what they originally paid. Cars lose value fast, especially in the first few years. By year 5 or 6 of an 8-year loan, they will owe significantly more than the vehicle is actually worth on the open market. They are stuck in what is called negative equity, meaning they cannot sell or trade the vehicle without writing a check just to cover what they still owe. But extended loan terms are only the beginning. The second major factor is the 0% financing illusion. Walk into any dealership and you will see signs everywhere advertising 0% APR for qualified buyers. Sounds amazing, right? Free money to drive home in a brand new truck. Here is what dealerships absolutely do not want you to understand about those 0% offers. They are not actually free money. The cost of that financing is already built directly into the price of the vehicle. You are either paying full price for the car and receiving 0% financing, or you are getting a discount on the price and paying a standard interest rate. You are never receiving both at the same time. And those 0% offers almost always come with strict qualification requirements and much shorter loan terms attached. The buyers who actually qualify for 0% financing are typically the same people who could have paid cash for the vehicle in the first place. For everyone else, especially those with less than perfect credit, the interest rates on these extended loans can be very high. Now let us talk about the third factor, which is the trade-in cycle, and this is where things really start to spiral out of control. Here is how it typically plays out. Someone buys a new car with a 6 or 7 year loan. 3 or 4 years in, they are bored with it or want something newer, but they still owe more on the loan than the car is worth. So what do? They roll that negative equity directly into a brand new loan for an even more expensive vehicle. This creates a situation where people are constantly paying for cars they no longer own while taking on fresh debt for new ones. Their total loan balance keeps growing even as they faithfully make payments every single month. It is like a financial treadmill where the faster you run, the further behind you actually fall. Dealerships genuinely love this arrangement because it creates customers for life. Once someone is trapped in the negative equity cycle, they have almost no choice but to keep buying from the dealer. Breaking free would require writing a check for thousands of dollars just to settle the difference on their current loan. The fourth factor is one of the most powerful forces in this entire equation, and that is the psychology of normalization. Perhaps the most dangerous shift of all is how completely normal these extreme car payments have become in everyday life. People who would never dream of spending $1,200 a month on anything else somehow convince themselves it is perfectly acceptable for transportation. Think about it this way. If someone told you they were spending $1,200 a month on coffee, you would be deeply concerned. If they told you they were dropping that much on clothing every month, you would assume something was very wrong. But when it is a car payment, most people just nod and say, well, you need reliable transportation. This normalization did not happen by accident. It is the result of decades of carefully crafted marketing that has convinced Americans their vehicle is a direct extension of their personal identity. Your truck is not just transportation. It is a statement about who you are as a person. It signals success, reliability, and ambition. And if you are not driving something impressive, well, what exactly does that say about you? The automotive industry has become extraordinarily skilled at triggering these emotional responses. They do not sell cars anymore. They sell lifestyles, dreams, and social standing. That commercial showing a rugged truck climbing a mountain is not selling you a vehicle. It is selling you the fantasy that you are the kind of person who climbs mountains, even if the closest you have ever come to off-roading is parking on grass at a county fair. This emotional manipulation makes it dramatically easier to justify payments that would otherwise seem completely irrational. When you are not just buying a truck, but buying into an identity, that $900 monthly payment starts to feel like an investment in yourself rather than a financial mistake. Now let us talk about the fifth factor, which is perhaps the most alarming of all, and that is how people restructure their entire financial lives around a car payment. Even with extended loan terms and emotional justification, $700 to $1,200 is still a massive monthly commitment for most households. So this is where things get truly creative, and by creative, I mean potentially devastating for long-term financial health. And many people are rebuilding their entire monthly budget around their car payment. They treat it like a mortgage and compress everything else to fit around it. People move into smaller apartments, stay with roommates longer than they planned, and skip vacations entirely, all to keep up with a truck payment that consumes 25 to 30% of their take-home income. Some people take on second jobs specifically to cover vehicle costs. They will drive for rideshare companies or deliver food on weekends using that same expensive truck to generate the money needed to pay for that same expensive truck. It is a situation where your car becomes both the source of the problem and the tool you use to manage it. Others are pulling money from retirement accounts or taking loans against their 401k to make down payments or cover repairs. They are borrowing from their future selves to fund present-day transportation choices. And since most people are genuinely poor at calculating the real cost of early retirement withdrawals, they do not realize they may be giving up hundreds of thousands of dollars in future wealth for a truck that will be worth almost nothing in 10 years. Then, there is the credit card approach that has become increasingly common. People will put maintenance, repairs, insurance, and fuel costs on credit cards to free up cash for the monthly car payment. They are using high-interest debt to cover transportation costs. It technically works in the short term, but the long-term damage can be severe. The most alarming version of this is when people take out personal loans or home equity loans to cover down payments or absorb negative equity from a previous vehicle. They are using the equity in their home to fund a car. Your home should be building wealth over time. Your car should be moving you from one place to another as efficiently as possible. When you start using one to fund the other, the equation is completely upside down. Now, here is a dimension of this problem that most people never stop to think about. Many households are not doing this for just one vehicle. They are doing it for 2 or 3 at the same time. The average American household now owns more vehicles than it has licensed drivers. That number is both mathematically impressive and financially terrifying. It is not uncommon to find families carrying 2 or even 3 car payments running at the same time. One vehicle for the daily commute, one SUV for the family, and maybe a third for weekend use, or a younger driver in the house. Suddenly, the combined car payments in that household exceed what most people pay for housing. These families have essentially built their own personal auto financing operation. Except instead of generating income, they are watching money disappear every single month. They are managing multiple depreciation schedules, multiple insurance policies, multiple maintenance timelines, and multiple loan terms all at once. And through it all, every vehicle they own is losing value a little more with each passing day. Now, let us get to the numbers that most people never actually sit down and calculate, because this is where the picture becomes truly alarming. Imagine someone purchases a $55,000 truck with a 7-year loan at 6% interest. Their monthly payment works out to roughly $800, which feels reasonable compared to the $1,200 payment they would face on a shorter loan. Over the full life of that loan, they will pay approximately $67,000 total. Add insurance costs at $250 per month, and that is another $21,000 over 7 years. Factor in fuel costs of $350 per month, and that adds another $29,000. Maintenance and repairs over 7 years will realistically run at least another $15,000 and likely more than that. When you add every number together, this person will spend over $130,000 on transportation over 7 years. And at the end of those 7 years, they will own a vehicle worth maybe $15,000 if they are fortunate. They have paid $130,000 for the privilege of eventually owning a $15,000 truck. That is not transportation financing. That is wealth destruction that comes with heated seats and a touchscreen. And here is the part that should stop you cold. What if that same $800 per month had been invested instead into a simple index fund earning 8% annually? After 7 years, that person would have over $70,000 sitting and growing in their account. Not only would they have avoided the financial weight of the truck entirely, they would have built real lasting wealth instead of losing it one payment at a time. But here is the psychological reality that makes this cycle so incredibly hard to break. Once someone commits to extreme car payments for long enough, the vehicle stops being just transportation. It becomes tied to their identity, their sense of success, and their self-worth. The idea of stepping down to something cheaper feels less like a financial strategy and more like a personal defeat. When someone close to them suggests they could save hundreds of dollars every month by driving a solid, reliable used vehicle. Instead, they do not hear practical advice. They hear criticism. They hear an implication that they are not doing well enough, and they will defend that truck payment with the same energy they use to defend anything they care deeply about, even if that payment is the very thing keeping them from building a stable financial future. The automotive industry understands this psychology far better than most consumers understand themselves. They have spent enormous resources studying exactly how to activate these emotional responses and convert them into signed loan documents. Walk into any dealership, and you will notice very quickly that the conversation almost never touches total cost of ownership or what that money could do if invested elsewhere. The entire focus is on the monthly payment, the feeling of driving something new, and the image that vehicle projects to the world. Every concern a buyer raises has a pre-prepared answer designed to keep the deal moving forward. Payment too high? They will stretch the loan term. Worried about reliability? Here's an extended warranty to roll right into the financing. Nervous about the vehicle losing value? Do not worry about that now. You will probably want something newer in a few years anyway. And just like that, the cycle locks in again. So here is the bottom line. The mystery of how people afford these extreme car payments is not really a mystery at all. It is a carefully constructed system of extended loan terms, emotional marketing, and financial juggling that keeps millions of Americans inside a debt cycle they barely recognize they are trapped in. People are not truly affording these payments. They are delaying the consequences while telling themselves they earned the right to that new vehicle. The next time you see someone driving a truck that costs more than most homes, understand that behind that gleaming hood there is a very good chance they are skipping vacations, avoiding retirement contributions, and eating cheap lunches at their desk every day just to keep that payment current. And maybe, just maybe, that dependable used car in your driveway deserves a little more respect than you have been giving it. It might honestly be one of the smartest financial moves you have ever made. If this video gave you a new way of looking at car payments, please take 5 seconds right now and share it with someone you care about. A friend, a family member, or anyone you know who is about to sign a car loan. You might genuinely save them from years of financial stress they never saw coming. And if you have not seen our last video yet, go watch WTF Just Happened to the Housing Market right now. Trust me, it connects directly to everything we just talked about, and you will want to see it. Until next time, this is Uncle Investor reminding you that real wealth is built quietly, not driven loudly.